Viewers, it is Crystal here. In this video, what I'm going to cover is lesson 5 of my free course that I have designed called Intro to IT for Everyday Computer Users. And lesson 5 is cloud computing for everyday users. So cloud computing is a relatively new technique that has become popular, we'll say, in the last decade. And the reason why that has happened is because as more and more people have gotten the internet and more data, then they're able to utilize cloud computing. And before they had cloud computing, then what would happen would be people would just be storing their data, storing their files on a standalone computer. But it's not necessary to store your files on a standalone computer anymore. You can store your files on a cloud computing network. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video is cloud computing. And it's something that you need to know as a computer user. The cloud is a network of remote servers, which are computers in huge data centers that store data and run applications. Some companies that run cloud services are Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud. So that's just 3 companies that run cloud services. Cloud computing allows everyday computer users to send emails from companies like Hotmail, Google, and Yahoo, and also Outlook. Stream movies from companies like Netflix, and I think maybe Amazon and Sky. Store files online from companies such as OneDrive and Google Drive, and store photos in a company such as Instagram. Using the cloud means the computer user does not need to own a powerful computer, does not need to store his files locally, can access his files from anywhere. Cloud computing is a good idea for everyday computer users because he can access his files from any computer. He saves money because he does not need to purchase expensive hardware. The cloud automatically backs up files. Cloud servers handle heavy processing, such as streaming, editing, or syncing. Cloud applications update themselves automatically. In simple terms, cloud computing works by open an application such as OneDrive, Gmail, or Netflix. The device sends a request over the internet. A cloud server processes the request. The server sends the data back to the user's device. The user sees the email, movie, or file instantly. So this is a diagram of how cloud computing works. So you've got your device, which can be a desktop computer, a laptop computer, a tablet, or a smartphone. And that device connects through the internet. And then the internet connects to cloud servers. And then the cloud servers connects to the apps and storage. And so basically, this process enables your device to send and receive data. And I use cloud computing a lot because my Microsoft files are saved on OneDrive, and my Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slide files are saved on Google Drive. And then basically what happens It's about more than 10 years ago in 2014 when I was looking for a job. I would save my files on Google Drive because Google was promoting its Google Drive. But I didn't know that you also had OneDrive. And now that I pay for Microsoft Office every month, I try to use Microsoft Office more than Google because Google is free, but Microsoft Office I have to pay for. But Microsoft Office is the industry standard, so I try to use Microsoft Office as much as possible because it's the industry standard. And so what I tend to do is, like, the courses and things that I create, I write those in Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and then I save that to my OneDrive account. And then if I make a blog post or something, if it's a short blog post, then I save that on Google. And some of the things, because I make a spreadsheet for my boyfriend for his income and expenses, because he has to submit to Universal Credit his income and expenses every month. And so that particular spreadsheet is in Google Drive. But now what I'm doing is I'm using Microsoft Excel because I've got my boyfriend a OneDrive account, and he can save his spreadsheets and his CV on his OneDrive account. So basically I use both Google Drive and OneDrive. And so it's probably a good idea to be familiar with both Google Drive and OneDrive because you never know what you're going to need in any given situation. So the files in Google Drive and OneDrive and other clouds are going to be synced, and this is how they're synced. The file is saved in a cloud folder such as OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox, and this file becomes the master copy. Each device the computer user has access to connects to the same account. Syncing occurs when a file is edited, added, renamed, or deleted, so the master copy is automatically updated. Behind the scenes, the cloud compares timestamps of the file to see which version is newest and uploads or downloads only the changed parts and creates copies if two copies are being updated at the same time. Encryption occurs during transfer and storage of the file. The user can restore older versions or recover deleted files, and syncing ensures that files are never lost. So this is a diagram of how cloud files are synced. So you've got the cloud storage, which it could be OneDrive, it could be Google Drive, or it could be Dropbox, which I've never really used Dropbox, but that is another company you can use. So you've got your devices, which can be standalone computers, laptops, tablets, or smartphones. And then basically what they do is they sync to the cloud storage area. And then this cloud storage area syncs back to the devices. And then so basically on your devices, you can upload changes to the cloud storage area, and the cloud storage area is going to download updates. And it's the same thing for the other devices. And I can tell you from what I do is generally I just use my laptop at home, but sometimes I might need to look at a file at work, and because the file system at work, they use the Microsoft filing system, so one day I just tapped my personal email address in there, and it came up with my personal file. So I have my files for work and also my personal files on the filing system at work. So if something happens and I need to modify a file, I can call that file up at work and modify it at work if I want to. And then failing that, I've got the browser at work because we get internet at work, which I think most people get internet at work now. And then basically I can go onto my OneDrive account on the browser, and then I can find the file I'm looking for on my OneDrive account on the browser. So that's how cloud files are synced. So you can upload files, download updates, and you can sync your OneDrive account. So this concludes this lesson, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you an addendum video where I'm going to give you a tour of my Google account and a tour of my OneDrive account, so you can see how that works, so you can decide whether you want to have a Google account or a OneDrive account or both. So that concludes this lesson, except for the addendum account. And the next lesson is going to be cyber security. So I hope that you watched the new addendum video, and you also watch the video for the next lesson too. And thank you for watching.